regarding the Cheesty Green Space and just regarding Cheesty Green Space, we'll just leave it at that. I will remind folks, if you have attended a North Beacon Hill Council meeting in the last 12 months, you are a voting member. I would also like to remind folks that we are all here because we want to be. We are neighbors and we share a community. So that's why we're here. That's why I'm here, is I care about my community and I want to create a welcoming, respectful environment for folks to have a dialogue about whatever we're talking about. So I know Cheesty's been very contentious, and that's not what we're here to be. We're here to be a community. And there's a statement that the North Beacon Hill Council board came up with last month during our board meeting that I would like to read, and then if anyone would like to make a motion, we can vote on this statement. And you can vote how you feel about this statement. So the statement is, the North Beacon Hill Council recognizes the diversity of opinions regarding the Cheesty Green Space and maintains a neutral position on this particular issue. That's what this agenda item is. Do I have a motion on the floor to vote on this item? Somebody?
Was that what you did? I made the motion.
Oh, Robert made a motion, we have a second. Jim seconded. We have about 90 seconds, and discussion on this topic could take hours. So if you would like to have a lengthy discussion, there's 5 minutes at the end for older new business, but this is not the time to have a lengthy discussion. This is a statement saying that this group either does or doesn't respect the diversity of opinions in our community. We have a motion, we have a second. I'd like to call a vote, please. All in favor of the statement?
Melissa, I have a question that I think can be answered yes or no. And that is, you did not provide us with any of the backstory on how this emerged as an issue for this group tonight. My question is, does this represent a change in policy on the part of the North Beacon Hill Council or a continuation of existing policy?
This represents our current sentiment of the people in the room. And this was the effort of the board to bring our community together, to be civil and respectful. That's what this is. And the board spent I am so proud of our board. We spent a really long time, really late last month, which is why I'm committed to stay on time this month, to craft this statement. So there's a motion, there's a second. I'd like to call a vote. And if you want to continue the discussion, we can just continue the discussion in old and new business.
I think you were somewhat shorting the motion. I think we all agree that we respect the diversity of opinion, but the motion says more than that we're not going to take a position.
Right. It says we respect the diversity of opinions, and that this body is going to work together as a community to let the community members who are passionate about this, that this sucks the air out of every conversation. Those conversations can be had at all the other venues, including this Thursday. On your agenda, you'll note that Thursday, there's a meeting. So if folks want to talk about it at great length, that's a great time. But there's a motion and a second, and we're going to vote because we're out of time.
Okay, I just want to remind everybody that our bylaws state that the board actually has to vote. We can have a general vote here, but it's not binding. The board actually has to vote.
Thank you for that update. So the board will take this motion, and the next topic also has an advisory vote. The community passes an advisory vote, or the community takes an advisory vote. The board confirms or opposes that advisory vote during the board meeting. The board meeting is open to the public if people would like to participate in that. So again, if you've attended a North Beacon Hill Council meeting in the last 12 months, you're eligible to vote. It's mostly non-existent, but we know each other. And the board will review the vote, and the main reason for that is it's a check in case, I think that the theory might have been in case there was a packed room stacking that wasn't representative. Pat, we're gonna call.
I can't vote because I live on the other side of the
You can still vote. You can still vote. If you've attended a North Beacon Hill Council meeting in the last 12 months.
Oh, I've never had voted it.
Yeah, so yeah, anyone who's attended, this is a community council. So, all in favor of passing a motion to say the North Beacon Hill Council recognizes the diversity of opinions regarding the Cheesty Green Space and maintains a neutral position on this particular issue, please raise your hand and/or say aye. Okay, got our secretary, you count those as someone. Any opposed? Oh, okay.
Did you finish?
So, yeah, let's lay out, sorry, let's do the aye vote again, please. I'll let Chris do it. What'd you get?
19.
19, thank you. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Thank you. The next topic is also going to have a vote, and some people, I'm sorry, I didn't print a million. Some people may have a document that says many paths to Beacon Hill. I'm going to introduce Robert, Dee, and Betty Jean, or whoever in your group is going to talk about this. This is another project that we're going to call a vote on, and they'll tell us more about why. I'm going to put my very strong bias in on this one and say it's a cool project.
We do have a few extras.
Okay.
Have you handed some out? or-
Some people took some. So Robert Hendricks is the
Well, yeah.
Deputy Director. Robert Hendricks with Beacon Hill Merchants. Betty Jean Williamson with Beacon Arts. Dee Dunbar with Lewis Park. Got a dream team. Go on up, ladies. Come on.
Hi, everybody. So, most of you probably have heard of the Small and Simple, Department of Neighborhood Small and Simple Fund, Neighborhood Matching Fund, or perhaps you haven't. I'll just back up. There is a pool of money that the Department of Neighborhood maintains for various projects instigated by neighborhoods and community organizations. Most projects go into the Small and Simple Fund, which I believe is up to $30,000. And there's 25. There will be more about that probably later. And I think there are maybe 3 applications per year for that one. Every year there's also a large project fund which goes up to $100,000. There hasn't been a large project fund application on Beacon Hill since the Festival Street, probably.
El Centro.
El Centro?
South
For the
South facade.
park? Oh, okay, for the south facade. Okay, so El Centro did one probably a couple years ago now, I think, anyway. So, and the Festival Street was probably 6 or 8 years ago. We are trying to move forward to get another application in. The due date is going to be May 4th, and we're building a coalition of organizations, which would include as many as we can find. A diverse coalition of organizations, but the ones that are currently working on it right now are the Merchants Association. I would be the representative. Our office is next door. Come visit us anytime. Beacon Arts, and I think Betty Jean would be considered the representative for Beacon Arts. Friends of Lewis Park. Dee Dunbar would be the representative for the Friends of Lewis Park. Hopefully, a representative from this body and perhaps as many other El Centro and as many other organizations, churches, groups, cultural groups as we can bring in. Our project is called Many Paths to Beacon Hill. You might be looking at a piece of paper if I handed out enough of them, but there weren't a whole lot of them. But I'll just read a little bit off the top of the page here. We've been working on it for about a month now. It is, here's a quick blurb. A coordinated and inclusive community engagement process guided by an ongoing Beacon Hill Neighborhood Coalition to identify and execute Beacon Hill placemaking projects, such as historical and cultural public markers, consistent welcoming signage at key entry points to Beacon Hill, a kiosk at or near the Link station, a welcoming entryway at Lewis Park, and other projects as identified. So really, it's almost a 3-part project is the way I've just been thinking about it recently. There's building this network of groups that can be able to comment on the way projects get enacted on Beacon Hill. Then there is actually the collecting of the information from all that wide range of groups that we'd be trying to engage with, trying to gather their stories about how they came to Beacon Hill. So it could be an individual, it could be your organization, your larger cultural group, it could be your personal history, it could be some of the global history that has impacted Beacon Hill. We gather all that history and those stories together. We try to filter it through and distill it down into some kind of actual, perhaps cohesive message. And then we also try to bring some of that message to public works on Beacon Hill in some way. It could be as simple as signage. It could be a welcoming gateway at Lewis Park. It could even be an online oral history website about people's stories on Beacon Hill. We don't actually know what the precise construction would be, because that's sort of part of the process. As we go through it, we're gathering people's input and trying to build that. So it's a matter of coalition building, it's a matter of relationship building with other organizations and with other communities. That all said, perhaps I can let Beijing or Dee say something else, and then we will be trying to hit up this body for some kind of endorsement.
Right. So I think you covered a lot of it. The piece that I feel very strongly about is this building a coalition that is broader than the usual suspects, so that we're hearing from a broader swath of our community about things that affect the public space. And so what we want to do is do strong outreach to them and create a network of ongoing communication. That's the first piece. And that will help to start feeding a pipeline of public works that would be proposed. And one of the more advanced projects, shovel-ready, and closer to shovel-ready projects on the hill right now is the gateway to the Lewis Park entry. And so we're hoping that would be the one, or the first concrete outcome from this process, but that it would be the prototype of how we create a process that would be ongoing, so that there's room to invite whatever else is most desirable from our entire community.
Any comment?
And just the same idea of recognizing our community that is going through so much change right now. We want to be able to maintain our history and celebrate our diversity. One of the things that we heard from the community about Lewis Park is that when our community comes into it, they want to be able to identify with something of their culture that they can relate to. And the same goes for any placemaking throughout Beacon Hill. So this would be a way for us to identify what that is, what makes people identify with the hill, what signage, what signals, what symbols that makes them feel like they're part of the community at large.
So what's your ask?
So that's a perfect ask. What's our ask? So on this sheet, you can sort of, if you see the bullets at the bottom, there are three ways really that people could be involved, or the North Beacon Hill Council. One way is to join the steering committee, and we definitely seek people who are interested in being on the steering committee. People should know we're serious about this. This is probably a 2-year commitment minimum. Right? So if you want to join the steering committee, you should understand that, and we would welcome you. So we really, but the steering committee is one way, and we would actually ask that the North Beacon Hill Council bring somebody to the steering committee. It's logical that the council would have somebody represented, and it would be great to have that representation. The next sort of level down, I suppose, would be an endorsement letter from the North Beacon Hill Council, which it doesn't have to necessarily endorse any particular outcome. It's just saying we know about this project and we understand the essentials of what you're trying to accomplish here. And then the last way that also is valuable, maybe it's just a way for individuals who want to help us out, is to just sign a match pledge form, of which I think Dee has some. So, and that's just the typical Department of Neighborhoods match pledge, where you say, oh, I'm going to pledge 6 hours to this project. And that means you might come to 2 orientation meetings or 2 meetings to discuss what Beacon Hill is and to learn more about it. It could mean getting more involved in that. You could get into an actual engagement on a particular project that was trying to be enacted. You could be collecting oral histories from your elderly neighbors, and that could be part of your contribution. It really, there's so many ways that you could contribute. So, yeah, if it's possible, I would love, an endorsement letter would be most helpful from the council. The due date is May 4th, 5 p.m. So it would, I think that might be right before the next meeting of the council. So that would be, it would be hoped that maybe we could decide that tonight. Any other comments or questions about it in general?
Question. The representative from North Beacon Hill Council is at the present time Melissa, am I correct?
No.
We don't have one. I've been interested as an individual member of the steering committee, but the council hasn't endorsed the project, so we don't have a representative. We would have to, the board would have to designate representatives, and I would probably not be that person.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Melissa's been involved a little bit from the beginning, and actually came up with our title, which I love. Many Paths to Beacon Hill. It's really about the many ways that people come here and why they like it here. And like I said, that could be your family story, it could be your people's story, it could be your story. There's lots of ways you can interpret that. That is part of a long process to gather that, and the results could bring about, it brings about greater community cohesion, is what it does, I hope. Yes?
So what I understand about those matching grants is that they go to like a neighborhood or a community. Are there other projects that, this is my first time at this meeting, so are there other projects that the neighborhood or community have considered going after using those funds?
Other projects like,
So
such as?
large matching funds. So the Beacon Hill has several pots in that fire. At the beginning of the year, or beginning of the meeting, I announced we have 6 projects that have been advanced for Neighborhood Park and Street Fund. We have a small and simple award beneficiary right here for Beacon Arts. There isn't anyone else that we're aware of applying for a large matching fund, but most recently El Centro applied for one, was received large matching fund for their south facade improvement and for their water and seismic. Upgrades. So but what Betty Jean was referencing when she said the usual suspects is that we all know each other, and we all know the deadlines, and we all apply for these, and we're successful in our community with a lot of investments. And what this project is trying to do, what this collaboration is trying to be, is a way for all the groups that aren't the usual suspects to jump in. People who aren't as comfortable with grant writing, people who don't already have the outreach mechanisms in place. And that's the part, and I'm just going to plug a little bit, that a big part of these grant dollars usually goes towards outreach. And instead of every group using a chunk of their individual grants for outreach, all the groups involved in this collaboration would share one pool of outreach money and actually do outreach right. So if you have a group in mind, please get in touch with one of these people. I mean, this is very much a dream team project of the usual suspects connecting with newer groups or different groups.
Yeah, and anyone can apply. It's open to anyone. We happen to come up with this idea, and we're on a tight timeline to meet this deadline, but it's annual. And so if you have an idea, then, you know, any idea can be developed for this.
How much money is available annually?
They go up to $100,000. They award several of them each year.
There's always money left on the table.
Yeah.
There's always rollover.
And there's
So for large matching fund, annually there's about like 1.2 million, and so it is for the entire city.
Right, and there are lots of smaller ones that you can build to that you can start with the $1,500 Small Sparks grant and then get a small and simple for $2,500 and then build up to the large.
Just visit the DON website.
It just depends on what your goal is and how.
So there are a couple questions back here.
I just want to throw a sort of off the wall, just sort of splat something, is don't forget transit, that transit is the vein along Beacon, and there's a bus driver there, and there's bus drivers who have maybe rich stories about the changes that have taken place and
I like that.
and anecdotes and all.
If you have any way to, if you have some sources that will